Welcome to day 87 of the New Way. I'll read Mark 4, 24 and 25. Consider carefully what you hear, he continued. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you, and even more. Whoever has will be given more. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them. In Luke's version, in Luke 6, 37 through 38, do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Jesus says, with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Then he continues by mentioning some things that fall into this category: judging, condemning or criticizing, forgiving, and giving. Now, some people lessen the impact of Jesus' statement by saying that he is simply making an observation about human nature. A giving person usually receives more than a non-giving person, and a critical person is usually criticized a lot more. But this has a lot more serious meaning. Remember, at an earlier lesson, we studied that only God can forgive sin. I believe that Jesus is making a very serious point that we need to hear and obey. Let's paraphrase it to better understand it. A paraphrase is simply using different words to say the same thing. Let's start with the word measure. He's not using this as a verb, but as a noun, or something that we use to measure. Some words that we use to measure today are generous or stingy. So we'll paraphrase this way. If you choose to be stingy when you are dishing out criticism or judging another person's actions, God will be stingy and keep to a minimum when he is judging and criticizing you. But if you generously criticize and judge others harshly, he will also be very generous. But he says it's also true about forgiving others and giving to others. If you are generous in forgiving and sharing and giving, God will be generous to you. If you are stingy with others, God will be stingy with you. Now that this passage is clearer, will it affect your behavior? Will you ask God to help you limit your criticisms and judgments of others? Will you ask him to help you grow your generosity in sharing and giving and forgiving others? There are so many teachings in just this one sermon, but don't get overwhelmed. There's only one thing we must remember. Be obedient to what the Holy Spirit leads you to do. It's not a list of laws or do's and don'ts. It's a new way of operating with the Holy Spirit at the controls. So why study all these differences between the old law and the new way? Because the better you understand Jesus' teachings, the easier it will be to recognize what the Holy Spirit is telling you to do. And then the quicker you can obey. In his service, Dale.